Welcome, everybody. I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Emma Fox today. I first met Emma in the spring of 2016 when she was finishing up her master's degree in Ecology and Environmental Science with my colleague, Dr. Caroline Noblet, here at UMaine. I was looking for a PhD student to work on the Future of Dams grant that had recently been awarded to the Mitchell Center. And Caroline recommended Emma for me, and I'm so glad she did. Emma was one of those students you never wanted to let go of. She was so good at teaching herself complicated material, quantitative analysis, programming in R, while also being incredibly gifted working with people, researchers, and stakeholders from all different disciplines and backgrounds. She took the initiative in all aspects of the complicated project, often identifying questions, problems, and solutions before I had even thought of them. Future of Dams started relatively early in my career, and Emma and I had to figure a lot of stuff out together. I can't imagine anyone else that I would have rather have gone through that journey with. She graduated with her PhD in 2020 at the start of the pandemic and missed out on the graduation she should have had back then. We didn't get to celebrate together until last spring when she came to be hooded. Emma has been an associate at Industrial Economics, Inc. in Cambridge, Massachusetts since she graduated in 2020, and they are lucky to have her. Emma specializes in interdisciplinary social science methods with expertise in stakeholder outreach and engagement, energy policy analysis, decision support, and energy technologies. Her work for IEC focuses on program evaluation for state and federal clients, including characterizing community outreach and engagement for improving market uptake of clean energy services, benchmarking best practices, and assessing program implementation in response to energy and climate policies. I am excited to learn more about what Emma has been up to these last few years. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Emma Fox.
That's such a nice introduction. I think I need this. Yeah. Sorry, just 1 second here. Thank you so much for having me back here at the Mitchell Center. It's exciting to come back and be able to share what I've learned with you all, building on what I learned here. Between the Sustainability Seminar Series and the affiliated UMaine researchers that work with the Mitchell Center, as well as the different grant opportunities and opportunities like this series for student exposure to research outside of the academy. The Mitchell Center just has so much to offer. And again, really just honored to be here and be able to speak with you all today. There we go. I have an agenda for our talk today. I want to start with a little bit of my background so you can understand where I came from. Sharon covered a lot of it, so I'll breeze through that piece for you so it's not too repetitive. I'll give an overview of the company I work for now, Industrial Economics, so that you can have a sense of what our different practice areas are, and I'll have some project examples so you can get a sense of the work that we do on the ground. I'll also offer some reflections on interdisciplinary thinking and program evaluation. That's the area that I do most of my work. So I think what I would like for you to take away today is just that applied research is an exciting place to be. It translates really well into the environmental consulting space, from biophysical science to social science and engineering to financial analysis. There are applications in different areas of environmental economic consulting for all of those folks. It's important to understand how to solve real world problems, and the work that we do can contribute to understanding by stakeholders and policymakers as well. A little bit of background here. I graduated St. Michael's College in 2012 with a background in biology. So starting place very different from where I am now. My path's been a little bit winding. After graduating, I moved up to Maine to work as an AmeriCorps environmental educator at the MDI Biolab for about a year between my undergrad and graduate study. I then moved to New Hampshire, where I worked at a staffing agency, and not at all related to what I do today. I wanted to gain some exposure in a different type of industry, and then also save some money so I could hike the Appalachian Trail. I got from Maine to Virginia. I walked very slowly, but while I was on the trail, I applied for graduate school here at the University of Maine. I had a chance to work with Caroline Noblet as a part of the New England Sustainability Consortium Safe Beaches and Shellfish Project. And when my master's program was wrapping up, I had a chance to continue on with my PhD as a part of the New England Sustainability Consortium. It's a mouthful, I'll say NEST, Future of Dams Project, where I got to work with Sharon. So I moved from the coastal environment space upstream just a little bit to understand human interactions with the environment. After graduation, I started at IEC, where I've been ever since. I want to talk a little bit about the research that I did here at UMaine so that you can have a sense of the interdisciplinary training that I received. So as a part of the NEST project, this is a multi-institutional project or team rather, leveraging strengths from multiple disciplines to work together to improve the link between science and decision making. The beauty of the effort is that it brings together people from all different areas so that we can co-create knowledge together and understand more about a problem. The first project that I did as a part of this consortium is the Safe Beaches and Shellfish Project. We focused on polluted coastal waters in the Maine and New Hampshire coastal area. We had a team of economists and biophysical scientists working together to understand how human activities within the coastal watershed impacted bacterial loading from runoff and other sources, and how natural processes like river flow and tidal action impacted the flushing of bacteria into the ocean. We wanted to understand the frequency and extent of coastal swim beach closures and shellfish harvesting area closures. The stakeholders on the project were the Maine Department of Marine Resources and Maine Healthy Beaches program. So we got to inform some of the work that real policy makers are doing in Maine. Again, great opportunity. My work on this project, we surveyed residents in Maine and New Hampshire to understand their preferences for coastal water quality improvements, attitudes about government agencies, and risk behaviors relating to shellfish consumption and swim beach visitation. Are they swimming in the water after a rainstorm, or eating shellfish harvested from the mudflats, again, right after a rainstorm? We developed insights about willingness to pay for improved water quality and citizen priorities for coastal managers. In the Future of Dams project, we focused on the project teams at the University of Maine, University of New Hampshire, and University of Rhode Island, focused on understanding the different kind of trade-offs related to dams. So economic, technological, ecological, social, and political trade-offs. We wanted to understand the growing trend of dam removals in the US and the different kinds of decisions that policymakers make about the future of a dam. So the US has a lot of old and aging dams, and even hydropower dams, which are typically more recent, have operating licenses that can extend for sometimes up to 50 years. So understanding what those different possible future scenarios look like dam removals, or improving fish passage, or expanding hydropower generation is important. The work I did with Sharon focused on multi-criteria decision analysis and hydropower. Again, a mouthful, so the takeaway here is that it's a structured decision support framework that helps decision makers balance between multiple competing objectives and alternatives. We applied this type of framework to the Penobscot River dams to rank different decision alternatives. The reason we selected these dams is because they're coming up for hydropower relicensing through the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Again, those operating licenses are granted for a long period of time. And because it's a federal process, there are a few key points of public input. So being able for stakeholders to be able to understand the array of options available for a dam is important so that they can participate in the process in an informed way. Switching gears entirely, these areas of research are related to my current work. So I just want to give you a little bit of a flavor for what I do and what my colleagues do at Industrial Economics. We're a consulting firm, environmental economic consulting, based out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. We were founded in 1981. We've come a long way since then. We have more than 150 professional staff working with us now. We still have just the one office in Cambridge, although now we have staff working across the country, and that's become more common since COVID. We had our holiday party recently, and folks flew in from as far as California and Oregon. We had people coming from Wisconsin, Florida, Montana, so a real range. IEC provides expert analysis, advice, and project management services to government agencies, private firms, international governments, and NGOs. Objective analysis is the bedrock of our consulting work, and we believe that optimal decisions are driven by defensible, honest evidence. We craft analyses with transparent methods, clear presentation, and insightful conclusions. We offer clients a fresh perspective on problems. We typically use mixed methods and often work in really data poor areas. We also make efforts to work within client timelines and budget constraints. So IEC setup is a little bit like a law firm. We have the principals are the owners of the firm. It has always been wholly owned by the principals. They have different areas of expertise, different clients and project portfolios. Their work falls within each of these 7 different practice areas. I recognize that the writing is quite small, so I'm going to go through each of these one by one. In natural resource management, we offer services in natural resource damage assessment, site restoration and remediation guidance with applications in water resources management and with endangered species. Some of the examples of this work include evaluation of ecological injuries, estimation of economic damages, restoration planning for contaminated habitats. And our clients include NOAA, the Department of the Interior, state agencies, and tribes. Some project examples for this work. IEC has been working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the NOAA National Marine Fisheries Service for a long time. We've been working with them for more than 10 years, estimating the impacts of designating critical habitat for endangered species. These are some of the examples. The kangaroo rat is my favorite. We've conducted over 100 different assessments like this at this time. Work for this project ranges from conducting interviews, reviewing available literature, and building cost models. We present our work at public meetings in front of policymakers. And it's fun because the public is very interested in it. A lot of these critters are charismatic, and so folks will attend and provide comments because people care about futures for endangered species. In the public policy world, our firm offers services in regulatory analysis and support. This is often for federal clients. We also offer assessment of adherence to and improvements under climate change policies, risk analysis and risk communication, materials management, and evaluation of energy impacts. Our clients include the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Department of Energy, Environment Canada, state agencies, and trade associations. The project examples here are from the work that we've done in supporting EPA's climate change division in producing 3 comprehensive reports on the physical and economic impacts of climate change in the US. The reports are a product of EPA's Climate Impacts and Risk Analysis project, which quantifies damages to different sectors of the US economy, like infrastructure, health, and water, resulting from climate change under different scenarios. The most recent report analyzes disproportionate risks of climate change to socially vulnerable groups across the US. In the applied economic space, we offer services in natural resource economics, health measurement and valuation, benefit cost analysis, and we provide insights for utility rate regulation. Our clients include the National Park Service, EPA, US Department of Health and Human Services, Consumer Product Safety Commission, and state agencies. I'm almost done, I promise, with the practice areas. Finance and forensic analysis, the services we offer include penalty assessments, financial management, accounting, economic and financial damage assessment, and other financial analyses. Our clients include EPA, Department of Justice, Department of Energy, Department of the Interior, state agencies, NGOs, and also private firms. In our sustainability practice, most of our clients are actually corporate clients. The work we do is typically based in carbon footprinting. So this includes energy footprinting, water, and waste. I've done a little bit of work in this practice area, but mainly as support staff. The work that we do here, we also offer services in sustainability program implementation, environmental reporting and communications, and our clients include Upwork, Samsonite, Microsoft, Outfront Media, and Inspire Brands. They own Dunkin' Donuts. You might know them. Most of our, as I said, yeah, most of our clients here in this practice are corporate. For this project example, we conducted a scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions assessment for Upwork. I wasn't familiar with the different scopes of emissions. So scope 1 emissions are direct from the company. These are emissions from fleet vehicles, for example. Scope 2 emissions come from the energy purchased and used. Basically, these are the emissions from keeping the lights on and heating the building. Scope 3 emissions are emissions embodied in what the company uses. Those from like the purchased products that you use to do your work. And with this assessment in mind, we assisted Upwork in achieving carbon neutrality cost effectively in less than 1 year. They were doing pretty well already. This is more of a cross-cutting service area. We offer data management, decision support tools, spatial analysis and GIS, graphic design, and survey research for a full range of clients. So NOAA, Department of the Interior, EPA, and state agencies like the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, or NYSERDA. The project examples I have to show here are from the Deepwater Horizon spill in the Gulf of Mexico. IC is internationally recognized as experts in the field of natural resource damage assessment. We've worked with many large-scale cases, including the Exxon Valdez spill off the coast of Alaska in the late 80s, and the 2010 BP spill, Deepwater Horizon, shown here. So you can see these are some of the different portals that we've put together for our clients. We did a lot of restoration plans and developed reporting tools. Program design and evaluation is our last practice area. It's the one where I do most of my work. We are a recognized leader in program evaluation for federal and state agencies. We work with clients to strengthen their existing continuous improvement functions. We specialize in conducting challenging evaluations of policies and programs, and we're known for deploying innovative mixed methods approaches and, again, working in those data limited areas. We offer strategic planning and program design, measurement and evaluation, and reporting and communications. IEC has been providing evaluation services to the US EPA, for example, for over 15 years. In addition to carrying out more than 60 formative process and impact evaluations for EPA, we've assisted the agency in establishing evaluation infrastructure, including developing communities of practice and learning agendas, setting logic models, and developing training for staff to help them participate in the evaluations as well. Our other clients include Department of Energy, utilities, NGOs, state agencies like NYSERDA, and sometimes corporate clients as well. Let me just pause for a second. The next piece of this is going to focus on evaluation, and I'll give you a project example that I was part of. I led the data collection and analysis aspect for it, and it is publicly available online. So I just want to say that before I get started. Measurement and evaluation is a little bit different from the other work that we do at IEC, in that we're trying to understand performance management. We develop measurement and evaluation frameworks to provide a way to implement public policy holistically and rigorously. The ideal way to go about evaluation is from this performance management cycle approach, where the results of the evaluation activities have a clear connection to strategic planning. Goal setting and logic modeling is an important part of that initial, the initial step. Training can come in to help inform staff on best practices. And then we identify metrics and the data that are needed. We provide or develop updates for data management. And the process evaluation piece should cycle back to the top and inform strategic planning for the next round of the program. Measurement and evaluation is typically applied retrospectively. It's used to quantify, understand, and monetize public policy outcomes. There's a few different types of evaluation. I'll focus on two of them here. Impact evaluation, which examines the extent to which program activities have been successful in completing objectives and why. Impact evaluations examine attribution, so the extent to which outcomes were caused by the activities in the program. And we typically look at rival factors to try and understand, was it the program or was it the environment or the other related policies. Process evaluations examine how the program is being implemented. They often provide an opportunity to make mid-course corrections. So they provide those early insights so a program can be streamlined going forward. This is an example of a logic model. There are a couple terms of art here, so I'll walk you through them. The first is inputs. These are what are used for implementation. This includes employee time, software, funding is an important one. Activities are the events or actions that are the heart of program implementation. So what is your program doing to accomplish the goals that you identified? What events are you hosting? How many phone calls are you making? Outputs are the tangible results from the activities, typically within the timeline of the program. So if you hosted an event, who attended, maybe people signed up when you made those phone calls. Outcomes are more intangible. They relate to the goals themselves, and they're typically longer term and move beyond the scope or timeline of the project. Logic models can be simple or complicated. What I have here is sort of a toy model of a logic model. It's simple, but it gives a flavor for the construction. You can also consider external factors and assumptions. These are always implied, but in developing logic models, it's sometimes more important to call them out explicitly. The project example I have here is for NYSERDA, New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. It was the Community Energy Engagement Program, or SEEP, Market Characterization and Process Evaluation. Our project team conducted this evaluation to identify key successes and barriers to extending program reach across 10 different economic regions through local partnerships and customer engagement. The program was based out of each of the 10 economic development regions in New York State. It was designed with the goal of connecting customers to clean energy services. The methods here involved interviews with NYSERDA program staff, with energy advisors. They're the folks doing the heavy lifting of the outreach, and the community partners as well. These are other organizations in the area that can provide complementary services. So if you're trying to get customers to connect with clean energy services, the idea is to reduce the energy burden of their on their bills, right? Improve their ability to pay for the things that matter in their lives. And so having those other services like SNAP food benefits, for example, is an important complementary service, also working to reduce customer bills. We also conducted a customer phone survey. We worked with a subcontractor that specializes in survey work, and we analyzed a customer opportunities data set. We received this from the program from NYSERDA, and we augmented this data set with data axle information. So the opportunities data set is a set of observations for all the people who sign up for the program. So if you saw a table at the farmer's market and you added your name to a list, then your name was included in the system. We're able to augment the information that you gave about your name and contact with the data that's basically everything that's publicly available online about people. We were able to use that information. It helps streamline the survey effort so you don't have to ask so many questions over the phone. The program setup, I think I mentioned this already. The energy advisor is the one leading the effort. I'm supposed to use the mouse. Energy advisor is the one leading the effort. They connect with their community partners, so those other organizations that have access to some of those complementary services, and then they work together to provide the customers with the support that they need. NYSERDA aligns the program with the 10 different regions in New York, so they have one energy advisor per region, so 10 total. NYSERDA customers are assisted by energy advisors, and they range from market rate to low to moderate income, single-family property owners to tenants, and from multifamily property owners to small commercial businesses. The idea is to provide services to customers to help them reduce their energy bills, and of course, to have some clean energy impact as well. Evaluation questions are typically constrained by the scope of the evaluation, which is informed by the client's budget, the timeline, and other constraints. The market characterization piece of this evaluation focused on understanding the uptake of clean energy services, such as energy efficiency modifications like heat pumps. And NYSERDA was interested in learning about the broader impact of the program, including leverage funding, loan applications, total number of pilot programs and the types of those programs, and the other NYSERDA, the other organizations that energy advisors connected with. So what did the network that they developed really look like? And broadly, these questions are intended to understand what the market for clean energy looks like on a residential basis in New York. The process evaluation questions we asked here focused more on how the program itself was doing. And we worked to understand how the program was progressing as it was in process, because the funding period was wrapping up, and NYSERDA was interested in understanding how they could improve for the next round of funding. They had intentions to expand the program. It's now called the Regional Clean Energy Hubs Program, and there's more funding there, so they wanted to be able to do it right. The part of the evaluation was neat because it was formative. We provided insights as soon as we had them, and it was reflective because we were able to look back at the program to understand how it's been going. some selected findings here. I just wanted to kind of give you a flavor for what this work kind of looks like when we report to our clients. On the y-axis are the regions from the map I showed earlier, those 10 economic development regions in New York State. The x-axis has the completed projects by income strata, with low to moderate income on the left in teal, and the market rate the market rate completed projects in yellow on the right. The SEEP opportunities data show that overall 524 projects were completed, with 38 clean energy or energy efficiency projects under contract and 184 applications approved as of July of 2020. The Finger Lakes region had the most completed projects and a higher proportion of project completions for LMI customers than other regions. Some of the other regions like Mohawk Valley really struggled with their implementation because they had a turnover in staff partway through. So, the other important thing to mention is that COVID happened during the program. So a lot of those like in-person outreach opportunities were really limited. So Mohawk Valley was challenged by the turnover of staff in addition to the rest of the COVID related challenge that others experienced as well. Starting with the circle here, and the text is smaller than I thought it would be. So the light gray portion of the diagram shows the folks who didn't know about the amount of funding that they received through grants or loans through the NYSERDA programs. The darker gray, 29%, reported that they didn't receive an invoice for the project. The grant or loan was sent directly to the contractor to their memory. And then in the blue is the funding that was identified by the respondent. So folks didn't always remember where their funding came from, how much it was for. Of the 94 customer survey respondents who reported that they received a grant or loan toward the completion of a home or a business energy assessment or clean energy installation, again, many reported that they didn't know the amount. Of this 38% who did recall the amount, it was a pretty small subsample of customers. So most reported that they received $5,000 or less. A total of $192,000 in grant or loan funding was secured for these projects across these 32 customers. The amounts reported for grants or loans range from $1,500 to $30,000. So a real range on that customer survey. In terms of customer outreach, we found that referrals from community partners are the bedrock of the program. No surprise there, the networks with the community partners were important to implementation. In-person events like food drives and food pantry distributions, community fairs and farmers markets are a critical engagement strategy for reaching new customers. This became a challenge during COVID because of that in-person nature of the interactions. Virtual outreach strategies to engage new customers have become the new norm, primarily due to the switch to virtual, again, because of COVID. Some of the energy advisors used media-based approaches like radio ads as a good one-time approach for generating engagement. These were less sustainable, but did create an interest with a lot of engagement at the time. In terms of projects funded, available program data from NYSERDA reveal that the energy advisors facilitated a total of 243 loan or grant applications from 2018 to 2020. Under the program, NYSERDA's investment was matched for $2.1 million. $1.9 million of that was considered leveraged. So the remaining about $250,000 came directly from customers, so that we don't include that as a leveraged source of funding. Some of the successes from from this program include raising awareness of energy efficiency options and encouraging participation by new customers, especially during COVID, reaching low to moderate income households across the state, and building working relationships with key community partner organizations that can reinforce and expand the work that the program is doing. So again, those networks with other organizations providing complementary services was a really powerful aspect of the program. The limitations that I've identified here are beyond the scope of the program, but are important to mention because they really had an impact on the way that the program was implemented. So difficulty reaching residents of multifamily housing and rental units due to the need to engage property owners, both financially and logistically. While the residents of those buildings may have qualified for the energy improvements and assistance, the multifamily building owners were not able to receive a full grant to pay for improvements. So when they realized they had to also provide funding, there was a lack of interest there. Some uncertainty related to the different program cycles that govern both the Community Energy Engagement Program and the underlying NYSERDA programs. Scheduled changes in program structure can constrain the ability to nurture those initial contacts of customers through project completion. Difficulty aligning the priorities and structure of the program with other NYSERDA programs and with the economic structure of the energy installation market. Installation contractors are focused on rapid implementation and on optimizing revenue rather than cost savings. So that was a challenge there and continues to present a challenge. In addition, some utility sponsored programs can in some cases compete with NYSERDA assistance programs. Some of the core recommendations that came out of this work, we want NYSERDA to understand that ensuring clear information about the program offerings is available to energy advisors and customers, including program level promotional materials. So they already do this to some extent with their fact sheets about the programs, but moving beyond that one step to provide a link to the website with more extended information and infographics about how a particular program can either augment or supplement where other programs fall short. So a Venn diagram, for instance, would go a really long way here in helping customers understand what they qualify for and how they can get the most out of NYSERDA services. Designing for continuity and planning for staff turnover is important to design around the loss of institutional knowledge. So when community energy advisors leave or take different jobs, you lose the knowledge that they've developed and the partnerships that they've cultivated with the community organizations. So being able to plan around that is important. Finally, expanding documentation of customer service and community energy advisor partnerships to clarify networks and improve analysis of program performance. One possible way to collect these data is through a customer satisfaction or partnership satisfaction survey. So pretty simple, right? You can pick up the phone and have that informal conversation or issue a web survey over email. Finally, I have some thoughts on applying interdisciplinary thinking in program evaluation. You may have made some of these connections already. Mixed methods is a big piece of what my colleagues and I do. Mixed methods can help leverage multiple different types of information to help paint a complete picture, especially when you're working in a data limited area. Understanding the context for the program, plan beneficiaries, institutional constraints, and logistical realities requires looking at the program from multiple angles. So how does program evaluation provide an avenue for using interdisciplinary thinking to help us identify successes and barriers and develop recommendations for government-sponsored programs? Well, those mixed methods are a big piece of it. Also working to understand the context of the program is the other main piece. If the program data suggests that we have low participation rates, for example, we might hear from interviews that the energy advisors are trying their best to engage with people in a world impacted by COVID. So we have some of that larger context. Program participants may later tell us a story that they received support from a different program or another state agency. So being able to connect the dots and understand that the SEEP program is functioning as a concierge program to those other NYSERDA services. And then understanding that COVID has complicated things for people and moved other needs further up on the hierarchy. So the energy advisors are working with their community partners to connect people with the services that they need more urgently. And SEEP is functioning in a way that addresses multiple needs all at once. So the work we do connects with engineers, economists, and other social scientists, or data and policy analysis to provide different perspectives on the same issue. Lessons from program evaluation. Interdisciplinary thinking and collaboration are tightly intertwined. You need both to successfully tackle a complex and multifaceted problem. Interdisciplinary thinking goes a long way in solving real world problems that consultants are faced with, because you have a sense of all of the different possible challenges related to solving a problem, and you can reach out to others who are working in the same space to leverage their expertise as well. Not everyone gets the opportunity to be exposed to interdisciplinary research, but you all are here at the Mitchell Center learning about interdisciplinary thinking. So take these kinds of opportunities where you can. The University of Maine provides great opportunities to gain exposure to collaboration and applied research, as well as sustainability problem solving. I can't say enough about how much doing work with the Mitchell Center has done for me in my professional career. Interdisciplinary thinking is important to problem solving within clients' budgetary and institutional constraints. Sometimes it's not as easy as connecting A to B. Sometimes there's a giant river between the two of them. So understanding how to bridge that gap is really important. And again, working with others in collaboration, both internal and externally, so within your organization or outside, is important to success in this field. A lot of the work that we do leverages strengths from multiple team members and subcontractors. We also involve our clients in collaboration from time to time. So when we build a logic model, clients have an opportunity to give those inputs to make sure that we're creating a model that's going to help them understand their program better. And that's it. That's it. I'm happy to answer questions.
Have you found factors that are consistent challenges for programs that are all different kinds of programs, like staff turnover or things like that?
Staff turnover is a huge problem. So having that.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. The question was about common factors across evaluations that are challenges for multiple organizations. So staff turnover was the example. Staff turnover is a problem, not necessarily the turnover itself, but planning for loss of institutional knowledge. People are going to move jobs. People are going to move up in an organization or move out of the organization, and being able to have systems in place to keep that institutional knowledge central is really important. We typically recommend having training built in to an organization's process. So for instance, if they're developing a continuous improvement infrastructure, making sure that people are trained on what continuous improvement is and understanding oh, evaluation is part of the work that we're doing. We need to keep track of our metrics as we're doing a project. That's really important. Another common thing that we see is different parts of an agency or parts of an organization not talking to each other. So having that communication across different parts of the agency is important too. Yeah.
Dr. Fox, is this coming to you?
Yes.
Great. Speak right into like that.
Yeah.
What a wonderful talk. What a great talk. One of the questions from the people who were on the web listening to you is as follows. How do you explain the success of the outlier of the Finger Lakes region? Was it analyzed? Did it have to do with the higher ed involvement?
That's a great question. I meant to cover it and then I skipped right on by. So the Finger Lakes, the organization that had the energy advisor in the Finger Lakes region was an organization that provided a lot of those complementary services in-house. So they were able to, they're focused on providing housing solutions for low to moderate income families. And they were able to provide not just the energy improvement funding or not just the support for applying for the energy improvement opportunity, but also connect people with those other services that were going to make the most of those funds. So as an example, if you are getting insulation upgraded in your home, but you have a hole in the roof, one of those is more urgent than the other. So they're able to provide that additional funding to make the most of those NYSERDA funds.
Another question is, what should universities perhaps be doing differently so students are prepared for the work that you do?
Oh, that's a good question. I think exposure to the different ways of like doing economics and doing applied research is really important. University of Maine is great in that respect. I think having those project examples, being able to work on a research project is so valuable. The homework assignments that we all do here, focus on applied problem solving is really critical. I also think some of it is just really so specific to a project. I think a big skill set that I had to work on improving very quickly was in Microsoft Excel. I came out of UMaine knowing how to use Excel, VBA programming. I could do it. I had models that I built. I thought I was familiar with things, and the whole world of advanced formulas is really, really broad, and knowing how to index match just makes my everyday life so much easier. So I think seeking those additional complementary technical skills is good too. I know we do a lot of that here, but
That's great.
index matching.
That's a great point. This is a weird one. So if you can't answer, fine. But
Okay.
what do you wake up at night thinking about?
What do I wake up at night? PFAS. PFAS. Contaminants of concern, lead, coal combustion residuals. We do a lot of work for the EPA and advising clients on impact analyses, and trying to pilot programs across the country to bring people together and collaborate. Those contaminants of concern are a little scary. Yeah.
Very interesting. Risk analysis. You talked about risk analysis a number of different times, and risk communication. Are there things we should be thinking about to understand how disciplines maybe work together, or what that means, or what the issues are?
Hmm.
And it's okay to say no.
I think yes. I just don't know if I have the answer, you know. I think yeah. Communicating across with different researchers in different areas is really, I think, the key. I know I said that a lot here, but it's so true. Being able to have those conversations with engineers as a social scientist has been pretty powerful, and understanding how other people see a problem has also been pretty eye-opening. So I don't know if that answers your question about risk communication, but
Oh, it really does, and it's just very important. I mean, one of the things that to me has been really interesting is that I've just been asked to be on a National Academy of Science working group, because they want to bring social scientists who study things like risk communication together with other scientists, so they understand why we're important to have on the team, why there's some useful information there.
yeah.
So a number of the different points that you raised were interesting in that they hinted at the possibility that sometimes there are negative responses. How did you deal with that, and what could we do as we're training to prepare for that?
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes in our evaluations, we find that program funds don't always, think of a way to say this. Program activities don't always get implemented in a way that they're intended to. Again, sometimes it's circumstances outside of a program's control, and a lot of times that's really where the driver is. So in working to kind of plan for plan from the early stages of program design, building those logic models to make sure you try to anticipate those flows from inputs to outputs and then outcomes as much as possible, I think is really important. For dealing with negative feedback from like surveys and interviews, we try to handle that as tactfully as we can. Sometimes it's important to communicate that if it's people are telling you about barriers to their participation, if they're unable to apply for clean energy services, for example, because they were not able to understand the application, or they had to, what we heard in the program is that they had to apply in 6 different places for 6 different NYSERDA programs, but it's all coming through the same agency. It's important for the agency to know that, so that they can streamline that on the back end to reduce the burden on customers who want to receive that assistance. So
Another question. That was great. Another question.
so many
How
questions.
are you different now?
How am I different now?
Yes, than when you finished school.
How am I different now? I would say, yeah, I think when I was in my program, I was really focused on my project and trying to understand what everyone else was doing on their portions of the project, so that we could do the project really well. What I do now, I work on sometimes up to 8 projects at once. So a lot of it is juggling between those projects while still trying to have a really broad sense of what's going on. I think I recognize now that I am an expert more in the methods that I use rather than any one individual policy issue or area. I thought I was going to be a hydropower expert. There's so much to know about hydropower. There's so much to know about transportation. There's so much to know about how organizations use information to inform the work that they're doing. So keeping it broad has been helpful in the work that I do.
The great people sitting here, do you have a question or two you want to ask that you haven't asked? You don't have to.
Sure.
What do you consider when you're hiring, when IAC is hiring?
Well, that's a great question. I have some slides on that. I can offer you my business card if you want. I'm happy to answer more questions. We look for, hang on. We look for folks who have, so research analysts right out of undergrad. Are you an undergraduate or a master's student?
Grad.
So we look for people with a bachelor's degree, high grades, the ability to gather and analyze data. We're looking for the skill set more than any specific area of expertise. So we know that you're coming out of training. And so being able to communicate about what you know in oral and written format, and then being able to speak to different analytical skill sets is really what we're looking for. We don't do a ton of travel. We do get to solve real world problems. And the work that we do for our federal clients is often in the newspaper, which is pretty cool. So I recommend it. Yeah, happy to answer more questions too over email if you have them.
One last one. Next generation, kids. So if you were to try to present some of this to children, what would be important to think about to get them to start to think about these issues? And you could say, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just really not sure. That's so far outside my area of expertise. Yeah, I think just knowing about, being informed about the different policies, how the world works, really, knowing that it's not just one solution to a problem, really.
And NSF wants to see STEM education starting early and often, and getting youth involved, and they're not sure how to do it.
Sure.
Can we give her another hand? As we leave, who we're going to talk to about what we learned today. So as you walk out here, you go to the union or you go home, tell them about what you learned and how you want to be Emma when you grow up. Thank you.
Thank you.